What's up, everybody? This is Rob of Archangel Inc., www.archangelinc.com. And today we have a special guest, a good friend and colleague, Dale L. Roberts. He is joining us today. Thank you so much, Dale. And you've been a great resource and friend and mentor for the last several years that we've had a chance to get to know each other. And I'm very happy to have you on. And I would love to, well, just first start off by giving you a chance to describe yourself, who you are, and what you're about for anybody who's not familiar with you and your work yet.
Well, it's getting easier and easier to say this bio, and sometimes it goes a little too long. So I usually tell people that I am an indie author, a self-publishing expert, as well as a guy that just loves to help people live life on their terms. And whatever that might be, it could be living more healthfully, or it could be, getting more extra income on the side so that the way they can, I don't know, go have something, crazy like a vacation of some sort, or even just get out of their 9-to-5 job. But either way, that's the way I look at things. But yeah, I appreciate you saying mentor. You're like more like a mentor. You've been in this space longer than me, man. What are you talking about?
I've been doing it for a little bit, but one of the things, and we'll get to this later, but one of the things I appreciate and love about you is that you've really made it your business to know about what's going on in the self-publishing arena, latest developments, trends, where there are opportunities to learn and grow and kind of seek that competitive advantage so you can get your voice out there in front of your target audience. And so I appreciate the hustle and the drive and the continued commitment to all of that. So you absolutely helped and mentored me, as well as anything I've been able to offer for you as well.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I look at it borderline, inappropriate at times. I'm consuming content when I probably shouldn't be, and that's why I love self-publishing. I like talking about it because what it has provided my life for my wife and I, to where we don't have to be in a 9-to-5 job. We are our own bosses, and we're able to, live how we like and do it on our terms. And so yeah, I'm just obsessed about it. I love talking about self-publishing, and I think the thing that really helps me out, man, and then we're kind of rabbit trailing here, the thing that helps me out is the whole advantage of networking with other professionals. So someone such as you, or a Johnny Andrews, or I even talked to Kevin Tumlinson from Drafted Digital yesterday, quite a few people. So I'm able to kind of curate a lot of this information a lot quicker than some people would. So, if, you're a stay-at-home mom, or, you're taking care of 3 kids and carrying a full-time job and trying to just make ends meet. So some people probably don't have that time to try to be as obsessive as I do. So I'm your man. I'm the guy that can be obsessive on your behalf. I'm the one who can curate that information and hopefully put it together in bite-sized, manageable pieces.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think you do a tremendous job. So let's jump right into the first question. I have a handful of questions here that I wanted to ask you to share with the audience. And so, as I mentioned, you are an emissary for self-publishing. You do a fantastic job of curating and kind of dispensing insight and action plans for folks who are interested in this kind of field. So let's start big picture. What is self-publishing? How does it differ from other forms of publishing? What's kind of the big picture state of the industry now as you see it and understand it?
Self-publishing used to be this almost laughed upon type subject back in the day. I know as a kid, you would hear like that strange uncle who somehow managed to afford to get a garage full of his own books. And, he self-published his stuff. And when you saw the book, and it was just kind of like, probably should stay in the garage. Mm-hmm. And, it used to be laughed upon, but, you fast forward to right about late 2007, 2008, when Amazon opened up Kindle Direct Publishing and, of course, ebook distribution. And that's what really changed the landscape of self-publishing, because then a lot of print-on-demand distributors had to change what they were offering to those aspiring authors, those ones that couldn't get past the gatekeepers of traditional publishing. Now, a lot of people would assume that I am anti-traditional publishing. Absolutely not. Traditional publishing does work for some people. It is a great model for some people. I wouldn't lie to you here, Rob. If some reason Penguin House showed up on my door, knocked on there, and if all the terms were just right, I would sign on the dotted line. But self-publishing means a lot to me, because it means going at this business on your own terms. And you're gonna hear me say this a lot. It's really nice to have control over the things that you have creatively put together. And, you know, let's face it, writers are creative, they're artistic, and this is their art. And it's sometimes really, really hard to be pounding the pavement time after time, getting rejection letter after rejection letter. Now you can skip to the chase. You can just go right to making your audience. And that's what self-publishing is today. Everything is accessible. And now it's becoming a little bit more, I wouldn't say in vogue, but it's a little bit more palatable. A lot more people are kind of going, huh, you self-publish, that's pretty interesting. Rather than, you know, the uncle is like, I got a garage full of books, which, you know, sorry about that random uncle, which I don't have an uncle like that does that. But nonetheless, you know, you have the self-publishing model. And here's very fun information here too. Those of you that are looking for a traditional publishing deal, I have a lot of people that reach out to me that are always kind of wondering, like, you know, how do I get a traditional publishing deal? Okay, I'm far be it the expert when it comes to getting a traditional publishing deal, but I have spoke with other people that have been in a traditional publishing deal at some point and transitioned over to self-publishing because they were like, it just wasn't on their terms. You know, one of the things that these traditional publishing companies are looking for are authors that actually have an established author platform, a following of some sort, the proof of concept. So I would just recommend to those of you out there that are like, I want to get into writing and I want to be published by a traditional publisher. That's awesome. Might I recommend build up a following, so that way, when they do see your work and they see how awesome you are as a writer, and then they see you have a following, you've got leverage. You can then come to the table and say, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And there are so many, you know, these self-published authors that made the big transition over into traditional publishing. Everyone from the likes of, say, Andy Weir to, the name's eluding my brain here, 50 Shades of Grey. Come on, help me out.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? Anybody that's watching this video, put that right inside the comments. Yeah, you can remind me on that. That sounds like it's bait, but I'm forgetting her name right off the top of my head. But a lot of these were self-publishers that went over to the traditional publishing. So why do I lean in favor of self-publishing? Because again, it comes down to, I know what it has brought to my life, and I'm hoping that I can equip people with the same thing.
Yeah, that's awesomely said. You know, one of the things I thought, I have a little bit of a background in permaculture and ecological design, and I remember reading this story about someone who has experience developing gray water systems and basically kind of reforesting desert areas. And this person was struggling. I believe he was kind of interning and learning in desert environment, East Africa, I want to say. And he was ready to bail, and he spoke to his mentor and said, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know if I can do this or, you know, kind of accomplish what we're trying to do. And the instructor said, you know, you can stay or you can go, and that's fine. I'll support you. But just know, if you leave, this problem is going to go with you wherever you go. If you stay, if you puzzle it out, if you figure out the solution, that solution, you can take that with you as well, wherever you go. And so, like you were describing, when you kind of figure things out in a self-publishing landscape, if you build that audience, if you speak to your audience directly and build that followership, you can take that with you wherever you go, and you can stay or you can go. You can stay self-publishing, you can go to a traditional publishing arena, but you have that leverage, you have that option, you have that experience, and and followership behind you. So I thought that was a really, really great point. Thanks for sharing that.
Hopefully to kind of build on this too as well, in networking, I had actually met a gentleman, and I've shared with you his name before. His name's Carmichael. Folks, look him up on YouTube. He has fantastic content. Evan is, motivational speaker / self-help type person. He's a master networker. He makes me look like child's play. And he actually has a book that is traditionally published, but then he has 3 self-published ones. So if you do happen to look into brokering a deal with, say, a traditional publisher, make sure that you can still be able to fulfill your needs, your own needs outside of the confines of that particular contract. So apparently, Evan must have worked something out with his publishing deal that he was able to still self-publish beyond that. And that's really kind of cool, because then those 3 other assets that he has can deliver traffic over to that traditionally published deal, and hopefully get it to where he can leverage an even better deal going forward, should they decide to give him another book contract of some sort. So it's just something that just popped up off the top of my head as you were kind of sharing that, where, like, get that traditional publishing deal, but if you can kind of just tough it out, grind it out, get that following, so you can take them anywhere you want to go.
Yeah, no, great points. So let's talk about who is self-publishing for, who is it not for. Let's talk about, the sorts of folks that can benefit from it, based on what you've seen and experienced.
I get a lot of flack when I say this, and I know that there's been some video content creators and even some of my peers within this industry that vehemently disagree with me. I believe self-publishing is for everybody. I believe that everyone has a story in their heart, and they've got knowledge in their mind that they can share with the world. And there's going to be some times where, maybe we're not the greatest writers. Maybe we don't know how to refine that content into a way that our audience can find it and it resonates with them. I truly believe that there is going to be a solution for each one of the problems. So there's going to be some people that, for instance, maybe they're great speakers. So they're going to probably have to dictate some of what their book's going to be if they're a terrible typer, or maybe a person can only type. And that's, by the way, that's just, you're made for this business. That's the case. Maybe you're a terrible, writer altogether. Your grammar's horrible. Well, that's where you find your strengths within this particular industry. And then you look for your counterpart. You find that professional that you can align yourself with perfectly. So as an example, I know you and I are kind of spitballing some ideas on a future video for something like this, but book covers. Not everybody knows good graphic design, and you've got to understand that if you're a good writer, stick to writing. Don't waste your time trying to figure out and pull your hair out. Yeah, by the way, this is why I don't have a head of hair, folks, is I tried to figure out how to do book covers on my own. True story. Well, maybe it's not quite true. But either way, I probably did get a couple gray hairs in my beard from doing this. And it's trying to figure out book covers and try to do that. Rather than wasting that time, you need to find that business professional who does have that skill set and, align yourself with them, be it, hiring them out or becoming really good friends with them and doing some type of a quid pro quo of some sort. But I believe it's for everybody. I really, truly do. And there, like I said, there are some people that, no, it's not for everybody. The people that it's not for, if you're looking at this opportunity as something that you can get rich quick, it's not for you. If you're looking at this as an opportunity that's going to be easy, it's not for you. If you're looking at this and even questioning, going, I don't know if this is for me, it probably is not for you yet. There's times, I have some people that try to get me to convince them on doing self-publishing. I'm like, no, why do I need to convince you? There are other people out there that really don't need convincing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you why or why you shouldn't. I used to do that, by the way, Rob. I used to be so obnoxious because I get obsessive about things, and I'm like, we got to do things like this. And after a while, they're just like, oh my gosh, is he like trying to peddle some MLM stuff to me here? He needs to ease off just a little bit.
The vigor of the new convert as proselytizer.
Rob, you said some big words, man. You just lost me.
No, so I'm trying to remember the expression, and it's pithier probably than I'll recall it, but it's something to the effect of, there's no one more vigorous in their proselytizing than the recent convert, or something to that effect. So
okay, the person who recently broke into the business. Yeah,
exactly, and they want to convince everybody else that it's just the bee's knees, and everybody needs to be doing it too, and you should do it, and you should do it, and you should do it, and I'm going to talk your ear off about it. So no, I understand that.
I have a few people that have learned under me, or they've gotten my course, or they've watched my videos, and it's so funny. And I'm not pointing any fingers, and I'm not laughing at you by any stretch. Okay, I just said it was funny. Okay, maybe I'm kind of like, but I see sometimes where people get their own YouTube channel, and they'll strike it up, and they'll have their thumbnails look like mine. They'll use the same titles, and then they try to go and be me. And that's one thing I just say, ease off. What I would say is master this business. And then when you start to feel comfortable enough that you can get in front of a camera and be yourself, be authentic, then doing YouTube channels where you're sharing some of this information is a definitely good start. But yeah, you're right. Those fancy words, I'm just going to go ahead and agree with them, because like, screw those words. I was like, are you cursing at me in Spanish? What is that?
Yep. No, we're all, I promise, nothing like that, Dale.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Cool. So, all right. The folks who do decide to get into it and who want to be successful, and their heart's in the right place, they know what they're about, they have their reasons, they have their why for getting into it. What are some of the traits that, people who are going to be successful in this business have? Any patterns of thought or behavior that you notice as common threads among the folks who see that sort of success and are able to reach their successive goals? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm very fortunate that I have had quite a few students that have gone out and become successful in this business. And it varies based on their idea of success. So I would say the person that I almost always can just say, okay, they've got it, they understand, they're going to do this. It's that person that is the action taker. They're the self-starter. They're the type of person that, rather than going and beating me up with low-tier questions, they know they can just simply Google that. They come to me and ask me like the higher tier questions they can't find on something like Google. As a great example, I had a gentleman get a hold of me, and he just kept asking things like, what does KDP stand for? I was like, is this what this guy's going to ask me? I'm like, okay, I'll bite. Kindle Direct Publishing. Didn't you find it? No. Where do I find it? Go to kdp.amazon.com. Okay, what else? And after so many questions, I was like, hey man, here's a little bit of an analogy. If you're a basketball player and you're an aspiring basketball player and you had the opportunity, I'm not calling myself Michael Jordan of self-publishing, by the way, just so we can kind of lay the groundwork, but you had the opportunity to speak to Michael Jordan and ask him questions. Would you go over to him and go, what's a basketball? Or what kind of shoes should I wear? Those type of people, I think they're going to struggle. You need to be the self-starter. You need to be the person who initiates this. If you're genuinely interested, you're going to go for it. And here's the thing that I see across the board. Over the past 5 years, I've interacted with easily thousands of authors and publishers. And the ones that were successful were the ones that were willing to make mistakes. And those ones that were willing to make mistakes were the ones that just literally shoot first, aim second. They're ready just to go ahead and take the bull by the horns, make a few mistakes, make a little mess, and be prepared for the consequences and understand that they can adjust course as they go along. Now, I'm not saying that any of these people were going and doing black hat tactics. Yeah, I've seen some of those clowns, they did it and they're gone. Bye, see you. Here today, gone tomorrow. But the ones that were, not doing their 50th edit on their fiction book, or for that matter, going and, I got an idea for a book. Okay, great. Did you got it written? No.
Got an outline? No.
Yeah.
Have you started
Yeah.
jotting down recording notes?
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't tell how
no.
many times I would get into a video chat, and here's the thing is I I am not an expert at writing. I know I have a tenuous grasp at best. That's why you get a good editor, okay? And the thing is, though, I think I'm losing my train of thought here.
Yeah, well, it's not you don't have to get mired in the details. It doesn't have to be perfect right out.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
There's too much people are kind of worried about it, and they're getting stuck in their head. They want to make everything so perfect. And it's just, unfortunately, this is where I see with the successful people that are really good at this. And don't get me wrong, everybody does have their hang up. Everybody does get tripped up. I know from time to time, I get shiny object syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, folks, you will be infected with shiny object syndrome at one point or another in this business. You will. It will happen. You're going to be, oh my gosh, there's an awesome niche. I'm going to go do it. I'm really into werebear shapeshifter. I'm going to go ahead and write it. Don't do that. It's so crazy. And here's the thing. Okay. This only does so much. Talking does only so much. Do it. Okay. I just kind of going over to like some video chats where I was coaching some individuals, and I would say, okay, so what do you got so far? I don't have anything. It's up in my head. And then they start to just tell me about their book. And I'm like, okay, do you have an outline? No. I just have it up here. Well, you're wasting your time telling me this. Like, I can't do nothing with that. I'm not going to be able to tell you how to write that. Get that outline out, write it out, and then come back to me, because we'll talk about the next process in that order. So, yeah. So if we were to kind of compare one to the other, one extreme to the next, because you're going to find you're going to have a little bit of each. Everybody has a little bit of each. Maybe some people have a lot of one and a little of the other, and vice versa. So for the successful ones, it's all about like, get out of your own way, get it done. Don't just wish for it. Know where you're going, plan it out, and get there like yesterday.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that advice is tremendous. Really. Thank you, Dale, for putting words to that. That's something that we see somewhat commonly. I'll give an example on the positive end. Sometimes we'll get clients who reach out to us, and we have a free our self-publishing series, and it serves a couple of purposes for us. One of the things that it does is gives people a free resource to determine whether we're a good fit for them or not. But two, it also gives a basis for a more productive conversation when they actually come to us, so that they're asking, not those low tier questions like, hey, what is KDP? What
right.
is on-demand publishing?
What's Amazon?
Yeah, I haven't heard of this website. What is a website? So when we have clients who, reach out to us and say, hey, Archangel Inc., I just finished reading the series. I'd love to chat more. I have some questions. I've been working on this project, or I'm most of the way through with this project. Love to see about if there's some way for me to work with you folks, or for you guys to plug in and help me kind of get over the hump. And those conversations, people who have that wherewithal, that gumption, that, get up and do the market research and familiarize themselves with what they need to. I love talking to those people, and those are the people who are positioned to really maximize the collaboration with us. But even if it doesn't end up working with us, they're in a position to maximize all the resources that they have access to, that are out there in general. And those are the people that, if I had to guess, if I did some sort of longitudinal study and followed up, months and years later, I would say are most likely to reach their goal, or at least, have realized that they have a different goal and be working toward that. And that's fun. That's a lot of fun to see for us. On the other end, I also agree that learning to be self-aware and recognize your own strengths and weaknesses is really helpful. I know that, like a lot of authors, a lot of content creators, I can get stuck in my own head too. And, we try and tell people, hey, you are permitted, in fact, encouraged to make a bad first draft. It's okay. You can go back, you can edit later. The part of your mind that handles editing and, chasing perfection really is a different part than the raw creative portion. And it's okay. I mean, it's great to have standards. That's one of the things that distinguishes authors and creative types. You know, we have a vision of something that's great in our minds, and maybe we can't quite get there, but we're going to kind of chisel away and try and chip at it. And just know that over time, you know, it's an iterative process. We'll get there one step after the next. And as long as you don't get in your way and you know, let the perfect be the enemy of the good, and have, you know, an amazing great American novel that's only in your head, instead of, you know, at least partially on screen or on your sheets of paper, then you know, then you're going the right path. And, you know, just kind of push yourself toward that. If you know that that's kind of where your tendency is, you know, rein that back and move forward. You know, if you know that your tendency is the opposite, and you are, you know, kind of guns blazing, and you're not necessarily thinking about quality, well, you don't have to worry about the gumption and that forward momentum. But, you know, start to clean up a little bit on the edges and refine and make it better as time goes on. So, you know, that's been my observation, and yeah, it dovetails with exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, there are those extremes, and I guess that's something I don't often address. There aren't as many, I've noticed, many of the people out there that are just bull in a china shop, you know, putting out poor quality or anything else like that. I think that, you know, it comes down to, of course, being self-aware enough to know what are you strongest at, and trying to play to those, you know, suits and get it to where you're doing those things. So if you're really good at pumping out content like crazy, but it's not the greatest quality in the world, then chances are likely you're going to need to have some type of systems or processes in place after you've done your first or second draft that can refine that and make it better. Now, there's going to be the opposite end of the spectrum, where there are those people that unfortunately get in their own way. They're envisioning this perfect, you know, book. Folks, I don't know a single person that word for word was able to go and get what's inside their head and put it down as a manuscript. It almost always comes out completely different. It's like that Tenacious D song, you know, tribute, you know, where it was like, yeah, you just had to be there. It was a great song, but, you know, this song is just a tribute to that song. So that song was really awesome. Just trust me on this one.
I love it.
It's always going to be different from up here in your head when you put it down into the manuscript, and be okay with that. That's going to be the thing is, and I've gotten better with this. It was funny. I actually said something, and I put a small poll out on Twitter the other day, and I said, how do you break writer's block? And I think some people thought I was asking for how to break. I have no issues with writer's block. Just plug me right in front of the keyboard. I don't know how to shut up sometimes. Rob, you know this firsthand. Like, we were over, you know, hanging out in Orlando, and you're like, well, Dale, it's getting midnight. I've got to drive an hour home. Can I leave?
Yeah, no, I love it. That creative energy and force is a real asset, though. And especially, you know, when you've been in a position like you, where you're able to hone it and refine it and direct it in the most productive way. So yeah, no, that's awesome.
You're not the first person who's called me an asset.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it PG. I want you to get monetized eventually.
There you go. Cool. All right. So let's shift gears a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I really respect and appreciate about you is that you are always looking for these new frontiers, the places where you have a competitive advantage. You were one of the first folks to introduce me to low and no content book publishing. You've been discussing audiobooks and audiobook creation and the promise and potential that has for some time. You know, are there arenas that you can see or, you know, anticipate now where there might be that competitive advantage, where folks can kind of get in on the ground floor and be those trailblazers if they are in the self-publishing game?
Okay, so I read this question ahead of time, and I was like, this is going to be a fun one. This is the one I had to dial in, because I was like, I could spend 40 minutes talking about this by itself. First of all, audiobook, if you are not publishing or producing audiobook, you are doing yourself and your audience a great disservice. Don't dismiss this opportunity. And if you're trying to wait till you have your cousin's best friend's uncle's studio that you can record in for free to do it, and it's not happening tomorrow, then just scrap the idea, hire a good narrator, or even look into the 50-50 royalty split on something like ACX. I always recommend doing finished price per hour because you get to keep the full rights of your content. But nonetheless, audiobooks, get on top of it, folks. I'm going to be putting out an audiobook series here very soon on YouTube, where I will discuss some of the missed opportunities that I see in audiobook, because there are some people that are taking advantage, but they're kind of not getting the idea, because they're trying to do the same thing that they're doing with their Kindle ebook or their Kindle print or their KDP print book or their Ingram Spark book. Audiobook is a different arena. It's a different audience. You need to communicate accordingly. So audiobook to me is still so fresh. So don't rest on that. Now, if you were to say, you know, if I were to get my crystal ball out and I look at something, I can tell you this right now. The authors that understand that they need to have a platform, that means they need to have a base. They need to have something that they can build their brand upon. Those are the ones that are going to win big. Those are going to be the ones that are going to be setting up root. They're going to be having the traditional publishing deals coming to them and saying, no, I'm pretty happy where I'm at. You'd be able to call the shots. What they're going to be doing is understanding that, yes, they need to address all of the reader's needs, whatever it might be, from ebook to print book to audiobook. But there's a fourth one on that equation, and to me, it is more accessible than ever. It is video. Video is where it is at right now, where we're on. It is insane. It doesn't cost us a dime to put this up, right, Rob?
Correct.
Doesn't cost us a dime. I mean, yeah, if you got to get equipment, things like that, but honestly, you've got an iPhone, you got an Android, you got a flip phone, for crying out loud. It's got a camera on it. You can shoot yourself.
Right.
Not shoot your video, shoot yourself. Excuse me. Man, that was a bad choice of words. But you can shoot yourself through a phone and then upload it over there. And the authors that are willing to kind of put themselves out there and connect eyeball to eyeball with their potential readers via video, they're going to win big. This is a very interesting statistic, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to be a bit anecdotal. I can refer back to a conference that I went to this past year, Merch by Amazon conference in Seattle, and Owen Video actually spoke there, and he talked about the growing demand for video. By the year 2020, nearly 80% of all traffic and consumption online will be by way of video. And so you as an author, you as a business professional, you as a person that's trying to grow a presence and build a business maybe around this, even if it's a hobby, you need to get on top of video, and yesterday. And let's just look at the fact that how many live streaming platforms are out there right now, Rob? It's nuts, right?
Yeah. So
YouTube, Twitch, DLive just came out. I'm sorry, there's a lot more.
Bid.me, I think, is that one still around?
The other one,
Stream.me. Yeah.
Facebook.
So, yeah,
you know,
exactly.
So many different, like, live streaming is just one of the best ways for you to do this. There's another avenue between video. And here's the beauty of it, by the way, folks, is you can produce even more creative content through video. Now, some of the fiction writers are going, yeah, that's all well and good, but I don't have a freaking budget to put together an indie film. Au contraire, if you start to build yourself an audience, you can probably be able to shoestring budget a good indie film, or think outside the box. If you're a fiction writer, you can probably have a fireside reading. It sounds crazy, but I bet you how much people are going to tune in. ASMR is huge right now, folks.
Right.
You know what ASMR is?
Autonomic sensory something. Yeah.
Meridian regurgitation.
Yeah.
Anybody else watching this, drop those in the comment. ASMR, if you know what that is.
Right.
It essentially is like getting like the whispers into the ears and such like that. I sat there and I had a laugh at something like this, but it is resonating with the audience. And folks, simple.
Yeah.
You don't have to, and by the way, I'm not telling you folks need to go out and do ASMR of your books. If you want to, go ahead. That's knock yourself out. There's
Some
probably
books
an audience.
might work
But
really
this
well with
just
that.
goes to show that you don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to video. Heck, there are some videos. Let's say some of you that are camera shy out there, you can always just get yourself a good PowerPoint presentation or put together some animations. Shoot, Fiverr's got some great animators on there that you can do. You can get some software. I bought some software once, Doodly, and I've never used it, but one day maybe I will. The problem is I just can never stop shutting up, put this video camera in front of me. So there's so many ways you can do this. So one of the things I would say is, yes, consider doing ebook. Absolutely. It's still there. It's not going anywhere. Print book is not going away. People want physical products. And I see so many of these people like, they only have ebook iterations. Are you kidding me? Are you insane? Put print book out. Like, it's here to stay. I've got a shelf full of indie authors here right now that it's proof that people will buy your stuff. Yes, by the way, I'm not making that an invite to everybody that I'm gonna buy all your books, okay? Right. But you just call up Rob Archangel and he hooks you up with one book or another. But it just goes to show, you know, ebook, print book, audiobooks on the rise. I've called this before and I'm going to call it again on this particular interview right here. Audiobook, in my opinion, is going to overtake sales in ebooks. Okay? You want to come back to me another 5 years from now and say, Dale, you're wrong. Fine. But I bet you in the next 5 to 10 years, audiobook sales, boom. Because it's now just getting discovered and it's on the rise and growing. And I even spoke with Alex Newton, K-Linux, and he actually was showing the growth of ebooks and audiobooks. And it's really coming close to where audiobooks is almost matching that of ebooks. That is insane. Right. So, and with that being said, that just shows you audio is huge. Podcasts, come on, how many podcasts do we listen to? I listen to quite a few. So audio's there, and then naturally, what just could accompany it? Video. Get that video in there. Fun fact, you ready for this? And I think you know this already because I've already told you.
I'm ready, Dale.
Amazon Prime Video Direct, folks. It is their version of Kindle Direct Publishing for video content creators. There's a little bit of a barrier of entry, but for the most part, like, their program works almost like KDP Select does, where you put a video content up and you get paid per streamed hour. I like that. And I get a nice little check. It's not nothing big or earth-shattering, but it's proof that you can make money on that particular platform. So that one's a fun one. All right, so video is my answer, and I'm going to stay. That's my final answer.
Final answer. Got it. Thank you. Regis says, okay. Yeah, no, I love it. I think that's great. And that's something that is, you know, as authors, as entrepreneurs, it's important to think about your whole brand and to provide content across multiple platforms. Now, obviously, we all have different goals, different priorities, different strengths, and that kind of thing. But to the extent that it's possible, I think it is a good idea to make your material available for folks. And, you know, just on the growth of audiobooks, I was reading similar statistic from, I think, the Audiobook Producers of America, and 4 out of 5 people said that one of their primary reasons for listening to audiobooks was the ability to listen while doing other things. And so there's this huge swatch of time that we have that is, you know, that would otherwise be spoken for, you know, when we're working, when we're working out, when we're doing dishes, when we're running errands, you know, when we're commuting, all of these different arenas that we are already doing things. It's a great opportunity to kind of fill in that space. We don't have that opportunity. You know, people have so many hours a day that they designate maybe for reading books, so many hours a day that they designate for just putting their feet up on the couch and you know, bringing out their notepad and you know, taking notes in the margins. But yeah, if I can listen and learn and engage myself with a great story while I am doing other things that I already, you know that I have to do, all the better. So, you know, great input about audiobooks and video. Like I said, I really think that is a bleeding edge and something that early adopters have an opportunity to kind of corner the market on. And you know, being out there ahead of the crowd is a really great asset. So for folks out there who are thinking about it, who are content creators, definitely encourage you to look into that, and see if you can gain that competitive advantage, because to the earliest to the earliest folks go the lion's share of spoils. So great.
Yeah, there's been some people that have won big on audiobook. I even had a student once told me, and I'll just paraphrase, he said he was going to kiss me on the lips because after he had, and I'm being family friendly on this because that.
Yep.
But he said he was going to kiss me on the lips, and I was like, okay, first of all, no. Can you just like, I don't know, give me a fist bump? That'll work. But he actually had put out one audiobook, and it was only on the market for about 2 weeks at the close of a month. And this was right around like late September, early October or something like that, that he, maybe it was either late September or late October. And it was the early portion of the month that he got a hold of me because he showed me a screenshot of his paycheck for just one book. He pulled in $3,000 on a 50-50 split.
Wow.
50-50 split. That means that he netted $6,000 on a single book. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, how about you kick some of that money over my direction? But, that just goes to show you that there's quite the opportunity now. That is the exception to the rule. Right. Folks, understand this. Don't expect, be like, you said I was going to make $3,000. Well, there's certain things. And I think that he just had that specific type of book that it was able to capture that magic.
Right. No, incredible. Great story. Great insight. So, okay, let's shift on and talk a little bit about DIY versus Dfy publishing. What's the difference? What should an author do on their own versus hire help out for? Please share your thoughts.
Okay, so you got DIY and Dfy. It's important to kind of differentiate the two, being that one is do it yourself and one is done for you. So, man, we're creative individuals for the most part, us, the ones that are authors. Now, those that are coming into, say, the publishing business because it is a publishing business and they just want to work this business, that's totally cool. There are some people that like to hire writers and run a publishing company. That's fantastic. I'm just going to kind of focus on those creative types. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, we want to do it ourselves because we want it to be our vision and we want everything to be exactly as it is. But as kind of what I was saying previously is know where your strengths lie. You can do it yourself on some things, but not all things. If you do saddle yourself with that burden, be prepared for two very big things: doing all the work and possibly sacrificing the sales. Now, I'm going to have some, authors out there that want to do it for the sake of the art. That's fantastic. That's awesome. But listen, I got bad news for you. You're not the second coming of Charles Dickens, okay? You're not going to, be on your deathbed and all of a sudden become the biggest author ever, okay? So just get yourself past that point and start to understand where are your strengths at, and you're going to need to hire out or stand to, first of all, waste a lot of time learning some new skills. That sweat equity, I always quote from you, from the one interview you said, sweat equity, I love that. Right. Or stand to lose a lot of sales, and both, because there's some times where I get some people that are like, oh yeah, I worked really hard on this cover, and they send it to me like, what do you think? It always pains me because I try to find the good in everything that people do, but sometimes I'm just like, that's hit. I'm so sorry. I'm like, and even, my mentor, Jason Brock, even back in the day, I was so proud of my cover. I was like, take a look at this, man. And he was just like, bro, that's not very good. And I was like, really? What do you mean? And he's like, the font. And I was like, oh, okay, fix the font. And he's like, it's not the font, it's the image. And I was like, oh, okay, change the font and the image. It's not the font and the image. I was like, I'm terrible at designing, aren't I? He's like, just hire out a cover designer. He's like, just trust me on this. He's like, keep practicing at it. Maybe you'll get better. Mm-hmm. And I got better, but now I hire out anymore. That's it's really what it comes down to. So yeah, if you want to do it yourself, kudos to you. But, and if you find that you're like, man, I don't have the discretionary expense and you got to make do with what you have, Be prepared for an uphill battle. It is tough. It is a tough business. And if you try to do it all yourself, you are shackling yourself and you're, putting yourself behind the pack. And I would just recommend finding unique ways to get it done. So as for instance, a former guest on my show, Riley Morrison, an Australian author, fine gentleman, really good guy, great writer, by the way. His first book, he was admitted, he was admittedly told me that he didn't have the discretionary expense. He had a wife, newborn son, carrying one full-time job and a part-time job. But he had the manuscript. He couldn't afford to do it. So what he did was he shopped around for some editors and figured out what the cost was going to be and worked out a plan to where he would send out a portion of his book every month to his editor, because that's how much he was able to afford. He did it every month, and it took him about a year before he finally got the whole thing and the whole project put together, and it was great. He launched it. So that's just one example of how you can kind of get it done. Let me give you another example. I was real strapped for cash when I got into this business. And while I was making these hit JoJo looking covers, I make you laugh every time I say JoJo. I don't know what it is. When I was making these hit JoJo covers, though, I knew that I needed to hire out. So what I did was I pulled in a bunch of extra gigs on Fiverr. Fun fact, you ready for this? I actually had a gig on Fiverr to where I was like a video personality. Mm-hmm. And I would shoot like testimonial videos like, "Hi, I rode inside this taxi. It's the greatest in my life." And $20, boom. It took me like 5 minutes to prep for it, maybe another 5 minutes for me to sit here and be like, okay, get it all planned in my head. I need to say this. Okay. And then I'd shoot it and I'd send it off. And I did other gigs. I resized people's ebooks to audiobooks, and that paid me. But I got the money to where I could actually use that money and hire out a cover designer. And the greatest part was I would get a good cover designer with that specific money. And magically, for some reason, I got more sales. Huh. Crazy, right?
Sometimes.
And I tested the theory too, because I was like, you know what? I'm going to try out this cover. Mm-hmm. Sales drop, put the cover back up, and shoot right back up. And I'm like,
that's incredible. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Audience will vote for it. But the done for you services, and not all done for you services are created equal. You're going to want to shop around and figure out, and yeah, I'm not going to say any one is better than the other. What I would recommend is contact the company and try to have some type of a consult and open dialogue on how you can partner with them. And if you're working on a fixed budget, don't be afraid to share that. And if for some reason you can't afford it, guess what? You just go, deuces, I can't afford you. I'm sorry. You're going to have to hurt some people's feelings at one point or another in your lifetime. Don't let that be a prohibiting factor for you to figure out who's going to be the best partner to align yourself with to cover those areas that you can't do, be it cover design, be it editing, proofreading, marketing, even, helping you ghostwrite. So whatever it could be, just, shop around. So I think that the best mixture of a DIY, DFY model is one of the best ways to go. And you may not even need a DFY model. Maybe you just need an editor. Well, just go find a good referral from somebody and say, hey, who's good editor have you used, and test them out, see how they work.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. The advice, you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? So you talk about shackling yourself, and you can be really excellent on any number of fronts when it comes to publishing, but you, to the greatest extent possible, you want to shore up those weaknesses. And again, I understand budget, and obviously, we do this sort of thing a lot. And as you mentioned, we're happy to hear from folks, and it doesn't offend us at all. They say, hey, listen, this is my budget. This is what I'm looking at. If we can help, we're happy to do that. If we can work something out, we're happy to do that. If we can't, we're happy to do that too, and say, hey, listen, here are a handful of resources and, other avenues that you might consider exploring, because we, at least as far as the way I've set this company up, I want to be kind of a portal and an entry point for people getting into self-publishing. And if they want the sort of experience that we're able to offer, we'd love to work with them. Or if it's not quite for them, for budgetary reasons, for whatever reasons, then we want to say no problem here. We wish you well, and here are some avenues to kind of explore and go your own way. Now, one of the things I do want to mention, and you may be a little bit modest to mention it, but you have a course. I know you and I, maybe a couple of years ago, were talking about this, and for various reasons, I wasn't able to find the time and do all of it. But you
he broke up with me, everybody. He broke. He was like, "It's not you, it's me." And it was me. I know.
Yes. No. So Dale, you have a DIY, publishing course, self-publishing course. I'd love for you to share a little bit about it and tell folks out there who are interested, what you do and what you offer and the kind of folks that might benefit from that course.
DIY publishing course, you and I come into this with the same vision that we wanted to provide something that was going to be a veritable, one-stop shop resource for those that are looking to, first of all, break into the self-publishing business and excel at this business. And that's just scratching the surface of what this specific this course covers. Everything from the beginners to the advanced to the intermediates and everything else in between. And it's starting to even build off even more to where I'm actually hiring in and bringing in guest experts who are actually doing some courses. So I was very fortunate to have a New York Times best-selling ghostwriter, as well as a book coach, professional editor, James Ransom. He did a mini course on book editing 101. I had a social media marketing expert in Ava Fales, who actually put something together. She's right now in the midst of launching WordPress 101, which shows the authors how to put together their own site. So what we're trying to do is we are addressing those of you that are like, I got to do it myself. I want to do it myself. Okay, if you won't listen to me about getting somebody to do it, for you, then here it is. This is the resource for you, and you're able to consume that. Am I allowed to shill my where the website? Okay.
Absolutely.
So what I recommend is, if you are somewhat new to the business, when I say somewhat new, if you're still in your first year, you're new. Okay. Go over to DIYpublishing.biz/free. Again, that's DIYpublishing.biz/free, and you can get yourself enrolled inside the DIY publishing course for beginners. Believe it or not, even Keith Wheeler of Keith Wheeler Books, who is a veteran in this business, watched the entire course and said he learned things in that. So I pride myself on being able to teach you things that you're not going to necessarily get anywhere else. And the other thing is up-to-date, relevant information as it happens today. So as soon as CreateSpace was bye-bye, what came in its spot was KDP Print. Well, naturally speaking, I needed to pull that content out, and I put the new content up into there. So a lot of students really rave about that. So if you want to know any more about that, we also have 3 subscription models that you can look into. So it's a bit more of a cost-effective option. And you can check out all that at DIYpublishing.biz. But in the meantime, I'd recommend just go get the beginner's course so you can get started.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thank you for sharing that, Dale. So for folks who may not be familiar with us, Archangel Inc., we did have a course that we put together some time ago, and I don't like it anymore. A lot of it's out of date. It's several years old, and it was sort of meandering and not very well designed. One of the things I really wanted to do, and that we talked about, and that I think you've done a fantastic job with the course that you produce of doing, is creating digestible, coherent, sequential elements to the course. It's not just me speaking for 40 minutes and hoping to keep your attention. It's, hey, here's module 1. What's the key information here? Let's move on to section 2, section 3, section 4, and so forth. Folks, if you're, we'd love to work with you. Obviously, that's what I do. That's what Archangel Inc. does. But we know that that's not going to be a good fit for everybody. Dale has my full confidence, and that's honestly the place that I direct people who want more information than we have in our self-publishing series and are looking to kind of learn more and learn the ropes. This is a intentionally designed course that doesn't send you around to 100 different YouTube videos, which are great. Again, I would love for you all to watch other YouTube videos of mine, other YouTube videos of Dale's and other authors out there. But it's something that makes it easy, that kind of takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. And afterward, you have fewer unknown unknowns. You don't know when you're starting out what questions to ask even. And so when you take a course that's been designed for somebody in your mental space, then you have a lot of that base of knowledge going forward. So as Dale was saying, you're not asking, what is a basketball? What is it to dribble? You're instead saying, hey, as I'm considering AMS ads, what factors go into it? How should I think about budgeting it? How should I think about, positioning myself in terms of genres and keywords, next level questions that
I like those questions.
Yeah. Things that really will help you to take your publishing business, take your authorship business to the next level. All of that is valuable. And so, please definitely check out Dale's stuff. Dale's very modest. I sort of sprung this on him, that we were going to talk about this.
You're embarrassing me, Rob.
I know.
What are you doing to me?
I'm sorry, Napoleon. But no, Dale's material is really good. I don't recommend a whole lot of things. I don't have a lot of affiliate relationships. Dale and I do, but honestly, just go to his site. You don't even have to go through my link. Just go and check it out, because Dale has great material, and I fully trust any author going to him to get relevant, helpful, constructive feedback. So, please feel free to check that out if it's something that is of interest to you. Cool.
Oh, we're going to have to cut that. I'm staring at the camera. I'm like, where do I go with this?
No. I kind of sprung that on you. I'm sorry, Dale. But okay, so this one of the focuses that you have, one of the stated intentions, is to help authors build an unstoppable brand. So if you would, Dale, tell us, how can authors learn more about that? How can they learn more about you and connect with you, aside from the DIY course? Anything else that you'd like to share so that folks who are interested in connecting with you and learning from you can do that?
This is super simple. I try to keep it as simple as possible, because there's going to be some people that maybe this is the first time they've seen me. And if in that case, introduce yourself to me, reach out to me. You can actually find me over on YouTube by just typing up Self-Publishing with Dale. That simple. Or you can even visit my website, selfpublishingwithdale.com. Again, that's selfpublishingwithdale.com. And just say hi. Say, hey, what's up? I'm a friendly guy. I genuinely love seeing people succeed. And I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what your circumstances are, but I can assure you that you have every bit of ability within you to succeed in this business. And you just got to put yourself out there and be willing to make some mistakes and put in the work, and understand that it will eventually come if you really, truly believe in yourself.
Awesome. Great words to depart on. Everybody, I want to encourage you to check out Dale. If any of what we've talked about is of interest, we'd love your comments. We love your questions. Feel free to leave them down below. If there's anything that we can do to assist you, obviously Archangel Inc. is happy to do that. Dale has his resources. Connect with him. We want people to achieve what they're looking to achieve. And self-publishing is really cool. I mean, it's exciting that we all, as individuals, have an audience of basically the entire world now with the internet and with print-on-demand publishing and all the resources that we have. And there are lots of ways to maximize that and get your story out. Get your message to the world, and we want to help with that. So with that, I want to thank you once again, Dale, and encourage anybody out there. Yeah, you are very welcome. Encourage anybody out there. Reach out to us. We're happy to help. I think that's it for now. This is Rob Archangel of archangelinc.com, and I will see you folks next time.